Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the second week of May 2020, but really, it is Mother's Day week, May 2020, and it is also Victory Day week in Russia 2020.
It's not as exciting as Mother's Day.
Well, it's actually more exciting because they have parades and music and all
I
kinds
should
of
have
things.
that. I'm a mother.
You sure are.
Yeah, you can give me parades and music.
Yeah, you're a mother, all right. Mhm.
That's not nice.
Everything I say to you is not nice.
Say something nice then.
You know, I could have said worse things, but I didn't.
Why would you want to?
Just for the shock value of it.
There's no shock
Because
in my life
I like
anymore.
the way you react to my humor.
Yeah, there's no shock in my life
Yeah,
anymore when it
yeah.
comes to you.
Wait. I give you some shock now.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had very lovely, I didn't even tell you, very lovely messages from friends and family in Russia about Victory Day and wishing us victory as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you believe it or not, the Prime Minister of Belarus, who is my favorite Prime Minister in the whole universe, he said there is no virus and that everyone should go out and take a sauna and drink vodka.
Yeah, I reported on that a few weeks ago.
So he was on the news again yesterday.
Isn't he related to you some way?
He is, maybe.
Okay.
And so, God bless Belarus.
Belarus.
And I also will bless Tanzania, and I'll tell you why.
That's funny.
Because the coronavirus test kits that were used in Tanzania were dismissed as faulty by President John Magufuli because he said they had returned positive results on samples taken from a goat and a pawpaw fruit.
But they assigned them ages and birth dates
Wait,
and everything.
I'm not done. Will you just stop
But that was
it?
such a good story.
Just hold on a second. And he said that the kits had technical errors. The COVID-19 testing kits had been imported from abroad, Magufuli said, and that the president had instructed Tanzanian security forces to check the quality of the kits. They had randomly obtained several non-human samples, including from a pawpaw fruit.
I didn't know they had them there.
Apparently, we grow it in the. We have pawpaw. It's like a papaya, but ours is like a northern.
Well, it's crossed
Papaya.
between a papaya and a mango, I think they say.
It looks like.
Well, and the taste.
I don't like them.
It's not my favorite. It's too many seeds.
But they had they took the pawpaw fruit and a goat and a sheep. And a sheep, and gave them human names and ages. Brilliant. And the samples were then submitted to Tanzania's laboratory to test for the coronavirus. And the technicians were deliberately unaware of the origins.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. And the samples from the pawpaw and the goat tested positive for COVID-19. We have to quarantine the pawpaw fruit and the goats.
And maybe the whole orchard or something.
And he said this meant it was likely that some people were being tested positive, like everybody,
Jeez.
when in fact they were not infected by coronavirus, which is actually no coronavirus.
And that's I like
It's
that one.
it's a no coronavirus.
I like that one.
There is something happening, he said. And before I accept that aid is meant to be good for this nation, he said the kits should be investigated. Where the kits come from? Probably the World Health Organization, which I told you was 80% false positive, but I think 100% false
You
positive.
have the wrong name. It's the World Hoax Organization.
Yeah, the Chinese Hoax Organization is what it should be. China is, I'm telling you, they're going to go to hell, all of them. He also said Magufuli, no, hold on a second. Magufuli, yes. He fooled them. He Magufuli them, all right.
Dead.
I'll tell you that much.
You make a fool of them.
Yeah. We should move to Tanzania.
I like that.
You're part black anyway.
I
So
am.
yes. And he was sending a plane to collect a cure from Madagascar, which is an island off the
Yeah,
coast
it's a
of
little
Africa.
tiny island.
No, it's a big island. It's very beautiful actually. It's
Yes,
mostly
but
jungle.
It's tiny compared
Lemurs.
to.
Lemurs come from.
It's tiny compared to Tanzania.
Not really. Tanzania's, and they're about the same size.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you're not a pilot, okay? And he said there's an herbal mix from Madagascar which has has not yet undergone international recognition.
Well, that would ruin it.
That would mean I would go for it because it was not internationally recognized by World Health Organization. So this virus is fake. I am now renaming it the no-ronavirus.
I like that.
And the testing is fake. The lockdown is illegal. More on that in a little bit. But speaking about illegal and fake, guess who said that the world needs 14 billion doses of a COVID-19 vaccine?
You know what? If I had $1 for every one of those 14 billion
Even
ones,
50 cents I would take.
Yeah,
But
maybe
listen,
okay.
your friend Bill Gates, he said that there's a race to develop this vaccine for 14 billion doses. Now, he said we need to make billions of doses and we need to get it out to every part of the world as quickly as possible. So we have a little less than 8 billion people in the world. Why do we need 14 freaking billion doses for less than 8 million people?
Well, some people
Can
may
you
need it
explain
twice.
that?
They get it twice.
Yeah, twice, because if they still stayed alive or the chip didn't hold, then get another.
But you have to hurry before people get well.
Yeah.
Because they get well, they won't get the vaccine.
Right.
So.
So Gates said he had his eyes on 8 to 10 promising candidates. Oh, I think he has one that he knew 20 years ago and already prepared. And he said that healthcare workers and people in low-income countries should be first in line.
Like Tanzania.
Yeah, so poison and chip the poor slaves first so they can't rebel.
There you go.
Brilliant idea. And he says the biggest challenge lies ahead in proving whether they are safe and effective in humans. The answer is no.
And you know what?
They're not effective or safe.
We need the Bill Gates puppet because he's not even a doctor.
Here's the thing about a Bill Gates puppet. Is it male? Is it female? Billina? Bill? What's the real name?
Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina, maybe. And his wife, Bill Inda.
That works.
Yeah. Anyway, here's something. There's a mystery because a Chinese coronavirus researcher, only 37 years old, who's working at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, was killed in a murder-suicide while on the verge of a significant finding. How strange. Police in suburban Pittsburgh believe that Hao Gu, 46, shot and killed the researcher Dr. Bing Liu, 37, before turning the gun on himself. Gu was found dead of a self-inflicted wound inside his car, parked 100 yards away from Liu's home in Ross Township, Pennsylvania.
And he killed that guy and somebody killed that guy. So nobody would talk.
He's probably accidentally shot 5 times in the head. Cops said Liu and Gu, you can't make this up, knew each other but would not say how. Well, I know how. Dr. Bing Liu, 37, was alone at his home in the 200 block of Elm Court in Ross Township last weekend when another man identified as 46-year-old Hao Gu allegedly entered the residence through an unlocked door and opened fire. I would say that Hao Gu was a Chinese agent
I would say
who was
so.
then assassinated by another Chinese
I just
agent.
said that, kind of.
Yeah, well, I'm just verifying the
implied that,
story. Liu was struck by bullets in the head, neck, and torso and died of his injuries. Now, later on, police said it was a love triangle.
Oh, yeah, I heard
and
that.
I think that was very, very suspicious.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he probably found out that it was no coronavirus or no ronavirus. Now, Ventura County, California. Very, very, very bad things happening in California because they will be expanding the coronavirus testing, tracking the infected and those who have been in contact with, and moving people out of their homes into specialized housing for COVID-19 patients. Discussing the need to hire contact tracers and manage active cases, Ventura County Public Health Director Dr. Robert Levin said during a May 4th press conference that people who live in homes where they could be exposed to family members with COVID-19 would be moved into other kinds of housing provided by the county.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's called prison.
Well, what if you have a child that you are taking care of?
Bye, child, bye. We'll give it to someone else.
Over my dead body.
Well, that's right.
What's gonna happen?
He says, we also realize that as we find more contacts, some of the people we find are going to have trouble being isolated. For instance, if they live in a home where there's only one bathroom and there are 3 or 4 other people living there, and those people don't have the COVID infection, we're not going to be able to keep the person in the home. Oh, really? You're not going to be able to keep him in the home? Try taking me out, Buster.
Well, guess what? Now these what do they call it? I don't know what they are. So celebrities, social people, and they're in their huge mansions. You know, they're not
move
gonna,
them into those
those
Ellen
people
DeGeneres
are not the ones who
degenerate
are
mansion.
Yeah, those aren't the ones being targeted. It's the poor people in smaller homes. So.
He said every person who we're isolating, for instance, needs to have their own bathroom.
I don't think that happens in most.
Who the frick in the world, the 8 billion have their very own?
Just,
Sometimes there's like 15 people sharing a bathroom or more.
Those people who.
This sounds like China, Soviet Union, Cuba, and North Korea. And I'm going to ask all of you listening to this podcast, what would you do if they came to your house and said, we're taking your father or your child or your grandma out, and
How about your wife
or your
husband?
Okay. I could sometimes see where that could be necessary.
Remember,
It's
sooner or
possible.
later, we won't have the camera on us.
Yeah, and that's when I will have to be removed to where I have my own private bathroom
Right.
with the door locked.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea.
Yes. So I'm just telling you, people, think about what would you do. They came to you and tried to take someone out of your house, your loved one, your child. What would you do? Say, oh, okay, goodbye. Really? Try it. See what happens. Those people who come to your house will be dead. And plus, the joke in California, they want to hire 20,000 tracers to monitor almost 40 million people. That'll work.
They're doing that all over the U.S. now.
Yeah. I
Yes.
haven't heard about it anywhere but there so far.
No, I've heard about it. I've been reading it. So
I haven't
much
heard of
news.
anyone being removed.
No, but they're hiring. Now they're hiring the contact tracers. I started.
I want to
talking
see
about it
who's
last
going to
week.
volunteer to want to be a contact tracer.
People
and
who-
go to someone's house and pull someone out.
Listen to me. People who don't have jobs right now.
Listen,
First of all,
they won't get past the driveway. They'll be shot dead
Yes,
or
but
stabbed to death. Trust God on that.
In the beginning, it's by phone calls.
The 20,000 will dwindle to a handful very quickly. Trust God on that. Now, speaking of trusting God, you heard about the woman, the salon
Yes.
owner in Texas who was freed. Unfortunately, she had to spend a couple of days in prison. And this will set a precedent across the United States, and many will defy the lockdown orders. Businesses across the USA are defying lockdown measures because they, quote, we have no choice. They have no choice. They're not getting money. No one's paying them. They have families.
They don't live in a
have
huge mansion.
Rent or mortgage. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do, people? So the revolution has begun. More people will disobey the ridiculous orders and take back their rights and their lives. The lockdown is about the election. It's not about the virus. The demons or democrats want mail-in voters so they can manipulate the outcome of the election as they did in other times when they were mail-in. So they will have dead people voting, pets. Last time they had pet names on there. They will have illegal immigrants who can't even read what's on the ballot. That's what they want, people.
No voter ID.
It has nothing to do with your safety. It has nothing to do with the virus. It has to do with overturning Trump in November. They want everyone locked in their house. They can't go to the voting, so everybody just mail in their vote, and then they just,
They're saying
this
that in
said Trump.
California now.
Trump.
Listen
Yeah.
to me. Do you have this story about the guy in northern Michigan who started the?
What? No.
Okay. Because I think I didn't put that in there either, but I should tell them.
Now, speaking of people who really should be imprisoned and convicted of treason, President Obama knew the details of Michael Flynn case and surprised the DOJ officials with his knowledge of wiretap calls during Oval Office meetings with Joe Biden, which have been declassified. And remember, I think I said that the information used to exonerate General Flynn will be used, the same information, to convict these Obama Democrat criminals. House Intelligence Committee has released declassified transcripts from 57 interviews that were conducted. It shows Obama knew about Flynn's calls with the Russian ambassador. Obama didn't like Flynn and wanted Trump to fire him. The president, Obama, told Sally Yates and James Comey about his knowledge of calls in the Oval Office meeting and top Obama officials, including Susan Fried Rice and Loretta should be lynched, could not point to any specific evidence that showed Trump campaign had colluded with Russia. The probe began with the Republicans, but unfortunately went to the Democrat Senator Adam Schiff. Again, I like to use the T, two T's instead of the F.
I said Schiff.
Now, according to the Fox News, on January 5th, 2017, 15 days before Donald Trump assumed office, Sally Yates attended a meeting in the Oval Office with President Obama and other notable national figures who had denied they were at the meeting. And the other attendee were Vice President Joe Biden, FBI CIA James Comey, John Brennan, Director Intelligence James Dapper Clapper. And following the meeting, President asked Yates and Comey to stay behind in the Oval Office, saying he had learned about information about Flynn and phone conversations, which he denied. He said he didn't know anything, but here it is in documentation. And Yates said she had no idea what the president was talking about, but she figured it out later. And in a separate memo from Susan Fried Rice about the meeting, Joe Idiot Biden also stayed behind after the briefing, of course, and he had denied doing that. So Rice has actually claimed she wasn't there, but she lied, because now we have evidence from her own handwriting that she was there. And so was Biden, Obama, and all the others. So big stuff coming, people, this week. I don't care what day you're listening to this podcast. Any day from where you are until the next week from where you are, many things going to be happening. And I've heard rumors about people have already been arrested. We'll see what has happened with that. Now, the transcripts of the House Intelligence Committee, which is an oxymoron, interviews that have been cleared for release show top law enforcement and intelligence officials affirming they had no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia in the 2016 election. And two sources familiar with the transcripts told Fox News that not one of the 53 witnesses could provide evidence of collusion. The transcripts show a total lack of evidence, despite Schiff personally going out of saying that he had circumstantial evidence, that he made up in his twisted, Schiffy head. Mueller, or Mueller in English, similarly at the conclusion of his two-year-long investigation, said he and his team found no evidence of criminal conspiracy or coordination between Trump campaign and Russia and could not reach a conclusion. So there was all a big scam and a big hoax, just like the Norona virus. And here's something that you should keep in your mind. Wuhan was locked down for 76 days, but the rest of China was only locked down for 16 days. So how long has New York been locked down? How long has California, Washington State, Michigan, how long have they been locked? China was 16 days, people. Okay, and that's where it started. And the virus began right after January, in the US, it began right after January 15, 2020, right after China signed the trade deal that they didn't like. So very suspicious. Trade deal, next week, virus. Very interesting. So coincidence? I don't think so. And since General Flynn has been exonerated, the Democrats are very nervous, and they will go after Attorney General Barr and Durham. And I have something to read at the end of After You.
After me? Okay,
Yes.
well, I did find that
statement
article.
to the people of the United States and the world.
In the world. Okay, this one I just wanted to, there's a man in northern Michigan, a Michigan businessman calling all business essential. Michigan man calls for peaceful economic disobedience. He lives in a tiny town up north, and I'll put this link on for you. But long story short, he's raised $21,000. He has a goal of $50,000 on a GoFundMe state, and he wants to erect billboards in Grand Rapids, Detroit, and Howell. So, and he's already put some up
Good.
already, saying basically all business is essential, and it's
Yes.
anti-constitutional to say that one is
Yes.
and one isn't, and somebody can
Absolutely.
do this and one can't.
Absolutely, it's
So,
illegal.
Anyway, it's a longer article. I didn't put it in the podcast.
And it's not saving any lives
No, it's not saving. It's just
at all. In
ruining
fact,
people.
it's causing more death.
But anyway, so I'll be sure that link gets in there for you. But he was asking for contributions, but I agree with peaceful civil disobedience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Remember, my family creates revolution.
well, my family was right up there with the one, but in its own way. So I also want to mention that President Trump on Friday actually broke with health experts telling reporters that the coronavirus will go away without a vaccine.
Yes, because it doesn't exist.
He said this is going to go away without a vaccine. It's going to go away and we're not going to see it again, hopefully after a period of time.
Yeah, like never.
You may have some flare-ups, and I guess I would expect that, and asked what would lead him to believe that the virus would disappear without a vaccine. Trump said that he gets his information from medical professionals. He said, quote, I just rely on what doctors say. They say it's going to go. That doesn't mean this year. It doesn't mean, frankly, it's going to be gone before the fall, because fall is also flu season.
Because it has to be before the election.
Or after the fall, but eventually it's going to go away. The question is whether we will need a vaccine. At some point, it will probably go away by itself.
Besides the fact that hydroxychloroquine and AZT and zinc already stop this
Vitamin D,
hysteria.
sunshine. Why do you think they don't want you to go outside?
And they said that hydroxychloroquine, oh, it hasn't been tested. It's been used since 1955 by, and who wrote about it? Dr. Fauci. That's Dr. Fauci. He's the one that in 2005 said that works. And tonight he's saying, oh, we haven't tested it. Oh, really? Well, what have you been testing for the last 65 freaking years that it's been out and used?
Remember I showed you what his name meant. I don't remember now.
Fauci? Yeah, it was
Yes.
some kind of evil thing.
Yeah, it was evil if you look it up.
He's evil. He should be executed.
And in Oregon, that governor actually extended their executive state of emergency until July 6th.
This is going to be revolution in Oregon.
And yep, those people aren't going to
Those
stand
people
for
have
it.
guns.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
And in Illinois, not too far from us, Governor J.B. Pritzker
Yeah, he's a
and his
pricker.
group, since March 1st, have released 4,000 inmates from Illinois prisons.
Right. Mm-hmm.
64 convicted murderers of those.
Right.
And they didn't want to tell people who they had released, but the Illinois State Senate Republicans and the Illinois Department of Corrections basically forced them to, because they pull up all this act and that act, blah, blah.
Right. So let me get this straight. They're releasing hardened rapists, murderers, criminals from jail, but they want to put you in jail for going to work.
Well, they put that lady in the nail salon, and
Does
they're
that
not.
make sense, people? To release murderers and rapists and arrest you for going to work?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
And this is
Are you
just-
going to stand for that?
This is just one state. Imagine what's happening in every state.
Unbelievable. What's happening in the United States became a wuss country.
Yeah. Listen to this. This I don't understand. Maybe you can shed some light on it. Coronavirus survivors are going to be permanently disqualified from joining the U.S. military, a recruitment memo suggests. This was going around the internet, so Newsweek actually contacted the Pentagon, which then confirmed the story. And apparently it was first reported by the Military Times, and the memo said during the medical history interview or examination, a history of COVID-19 confirmed either by a laboratory test or a clinician diagnosis. So that's no test.
Well, since they say that almost 96% of the people have that in them anyway, that means there'll be no army.
But this doesn't make any sense. It says it's permanently disqualifying.
Well, that's a bullshit story.
No, it's
Sorry.
not. It's confirmed
I'm
by the
telling you,
Pentagon.
that's not going to happen.
Well, it was confirmed by the Pentagon, so
I
why
don't
they would
care.
even say it, I
And
don't know.
I'm telling you that it's another scare tactic.
And then they also said that apparently the Department of Defense indicates there are over 6,500 coronavirus cases at more than 150 bases, and it's unclear if the military will dismiss these service members once they recover.
Well, maybe they're goats and pawpaw fruit instead.
That could be. And
Instead,
speaking of
they're not really
which,
soldiers.
you remember I told you about the British Olympics 2012 when they showed the nurses and everything dancing and whatnot. And that's kind of decreased a little bit, although there was one meme going around Facebook saying, imagine if your loved ones are dying of cancer and the nurses and everybody's out there dancing,
Yeah,
right?
that's and I said this last time. If these nurses are doing videos dancing in the hallway, who's taking care of the patients?
Right.
The answer is there are no patients. That's
So-
why they're doing videos of dancing.
Well, and also it's tied somehow into this British 2012 thing. And now apparently, and I saw the footage of this, there were nurses supposedly in a hospital carrying a body bag, and on the end of it,
Yes, it was very
COVID-19
distasteful.
It was horrible. And
They should be fired. No, they should be fired.
well, we don't know if it's real or stage,
Oh,
obviously.
probably, it's true.
because the parent, supposedly it was filmed at a hospital in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So who could actually follow up on that, because nobody's going there right now. So I thought that was disgusting. Anyway, in Michigan, you'll be so happy to hear about this. There's now free condom deliveries directly to your
thank
home.
God.
In the midst of all of this thing, now the Michigan...
And pot. You can get
Yeah.
condoms and pot.
And
Yeah,
liquor,
but-
and liquor. That's essential.
But you can't go to church.
The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services launched a new condom delivery service. I mean, that's a good use of taxpayer money, right?
Really?
The condoms arrive in a padded envelope with no logos, no labels.
Why do I have to pad the envelope for a condom?
Well, don't ask me, but
That's kind of stupid.
their point is that it's anonymous, so to speak. So you have to send your name in so they can track you from the health department, which I wouldn't want them tracking me from the health department if they didn't have
That's
to.
the point. They could track you that
Yes.
way. Mm-hmm.
So they want people then to send in and get your free stuff, and
Free
people
stuff.
like free stuff.
Oh, yeah. Free stuff.
Yeah, and in Brazil, you like Brazil, right?
Well, usually. It's a lot of bugs there.
Okay. President Bolsonaro continues to dismiss the threat and encourages citizens to defy isolation order.
Good. He's smart.
Okay. Then, apparently, there's a lot of Brazilians that agree with him.
Yeah.
He claims that the World Hoax Organization
Right.
encourages kids to be gay and masturbate. So his latest clash with the organization, whose advice on social distancing and other anti-COVID-19 coronavirus measures he repeatedly questioned, he said that the World Health Organization says should we follow their educational policy guidelines too. For children 0 to 4 years old, satisfaction and pleasure when touching their bodies or masturbation. For children 4 to 6 years old,
4 to 6.
so positive gender identity, masturbation, early childhood, same-sex relations.
This is from the
This
Hoax
is what
Organization?
he claims.
Uh-huh.
9 to 12-year-olds' first sexual experience.
Uh-huh. Hey, I had something just popped in my head.
What?
If they want you to do social distancing and
Right.
stay 6 feet or 2 meters apart,
Right.
why the hell you need condoms?
Well, I don't know. Who
Because you
knows?
can't go near anyone.
Maybe for a banana.
You know, I don't know what you do during the day, because quite frankly, I haven't seen you.
Yeah, I'm in my bathroom.
You have your private bathroom that no one else can use.
That's right.
Because of no Rona.
Right. Anyway, sometimes Bolsonaro is called the tropical Trump, which I hadn't heard of that before.
I like that.
And he did take down this post because apparently people are saying he couldn't back it up. But it does say he's regularly been at odds with the WHO, which is, so is our president.
And so Prime Minister Belarus.
Yeah, and he says social distancing measures are needlessly wrecking the economy over a virus he compares to a little flu. And he recently fired his health minister, who was pro-confinement and the pro-science. I put that loosely, handling of the crisis, because the real scientists are telling you not to pay attention to this.
You know, there was a flu going around in the United States in 1968 that killed over 100,000 people, and there was no lockdown, there was no distancing, there was no gloves, masks, nothing.
No.
And here we are, we were still here.
Yep. And guess what? Now this was interesting to me because, you know, here, especially in Michigan, I don't know about the other states, but they're calling abortion an essential service. Well, did you know that researchers are demanding aborted babies' bodies for coronavirus experiments?
Oh, of course.
And the scientists are claiming that the Trump administration's ban on fetal tissue usage is blocking coronavirus treatment
Now,
research.
explain to me how a fetal tissue is going to help with coronavirus.
Well,
research.
supposedly they use that tissue in their research because it's human tissue. So now we know another reason. And guess who pushes
Yeah.
abortions? Who and Gates and
Hillary,
vaccines,
all the murderers,
all this
all
stuff,
the murderers.
all lined up.
These people are guilty of crimes against humanity.
And guess what? The WHO Immunization Agenda 2030, they actually have one, which is leave no one behind.
Yeah, kill them all.
And the last draft was posted on the WHO website April 2nd, 2020. And they talk about they have more than 20 life-threatening diseases. So that they can supposedly vaccinate you against so you don't get it. But guess what? What about building your immune system? That's what we've talked about. You got your vitamin C, we have our blue blood,
Listen.
we have this, we have mental work that we teach you to
You
do.
don't need an immune system against something that doesn't exist.
And not only that, there's a meme on Facebook that I thought was really good because they have a picture of Bill Gates and they have God thanking Bill Gates because God said, oh, you're right, I made the human immune system defective. Thank goodness for vaccines.
I'd like to see them drop his pants so we could see his Microsoft.
So I found that very interesting. And then in Russia,
Ah,
Russian Oscar-winning director pushes vaccine conspiracy. Russian director Nikita Mikhalkov claims billionaire Bill Gates might be seeking to implant humanity with microchips.
oh, you think?
A patent, which is WO 2020/060606,
Ah,
describes a cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Basically, a device which can be used to mine some digital coins using one's body. So apparently, he was on a show, a television show, which had 700,000 views in less than a day, called Besogan Television, which means demon banisher. But guess what? The Russian people took it down. And this guy, this director, says in search of Gates' global co-conspirators, he points his finger at Herman Gref, who's the head of Russia's state-owned bank, SureBank. He's a known proponent of the digitalization of society. Now, guess what? We can't link that patent directly to Gates because he technically stepped down from Microsoft's board. But he now runs Belinda and Melinda's, whatever they are, Gates Foundation. And he just says that there's sensors, not really microchips, and devices which register the body activity. So they're proposing that you get cryptocurrency for such things as exercising and encouraging a healthy lifestyle.
well, then I'd be very rich.
But the point is that you have the chip, and then you get more chips
So the
and more
chip
things.
accumulates,
Good. You can get like social
so
things.
so it monitors what you do.
Yes, and so then you can get bonuses for doing the right thing. Now, this is Big Brother, right? Or Big Mother, or whatever.
He's a mother,
But the
all right.
government becomes the parent. And what was interesting to me is we have a barber here in Owosso. I don't know exactly how to say that. It's a little town. He's 77 years old, and he's got lines out the door. He's doing people's hair
In Michigan.
in Michigan.
Good for him.
And he said, the governor is not my mother, and she's not going to tell me to stay home.
Oh, she's a mother, all
and
right.
that's the same thing
Only
here.
it's just only half of what she is. She's a mother.
But this is what I'm telling you about, is that they're trying, the government wants to be your parent. They want to tell
God
you what
bless
to
that
do.
little old man, because you know what? He's setting a precedent.
Yes, and
so-
people are
just like that
supporting
woman,
him.
that salon woman in Texas. God
Yes.
bless her too.
Yes. And then also in Russia, did you hear about 3 Russian doctors that fell from hospital windows?
You mean they were pushed
Well,
out?
3 frontline healthcare workers have mysteriously fallen out of
Yeah.
hospital windows in Russia over the past 2 weeks. It's rare for doctors to fall from windows in Russia.
It's rare for anyone to fall from a window.
And one was in a Siberian city who died after spending a week in intensive care. And then she was talking with regional health officials, during which they were discussing turning the clinic into a coronavirus facility. And they don't know how it happened, but she fell from the window and died.
Oops.
And then another one apparently opposed changes due to lack of protective gear, and she had died from the hospital fall as well. And this was the medical
So
training
are these
base.
people who were ratting on the hospital?
I don't know. And then there's an ambulance doctor who was complaining there wasn't enough protective gear. That's what they say. He felt fine, and when he was getting discharged from the hospital, because he apparently was in for whatever reason, he just fell out that window.
Oop, there goes another one.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. But the,
Very icy windowsills in Russia.
and then now here's a really scary thought for you. This author is suggesting that perhaps Bill Gates has his eye on the White House. So, and he says,
Oh
what
my,
quality?
that is like
Isn't
the
that
most
scary? Yes.
horror-filled
Yes.
idea I have ever heard.
Yes, and it says, what other qualifications does this college dropout have, or any other billionaire,
right.
to do such a thing?
Well, you know what I can say? He
Yeah.
doesn't have the balls for it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Fellow philanthropist Michael Bloomberg, remember, he tried this year with his money.
Another Napoleon.
And Gates, who's only 64,
He's
they-
almost my. I mean, I'm almost that. Ooh,
Gates,
I think I look better than
he says
him,
maybe
her.
he has similar power-hungry ambitions too. And apparently he's trying to say that he could absolutely do this. He's trying to present himself as a savior of the world. And of course, they were talking in this article how he just bought a $43 million house, another one. And it says in this article, you get the sense that billionaires like Gates want to act like gods and shape the world with their own agenda. I guess that's why God was thanking him in the meme,
Yeah.
because of the fixing the defective immune systems of the people. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo now, I'm sure you've heard this story, where he's now aligning with the Gates Foundation
You think?
about reimagining schools. Reimagining
How about
schools.
reimagining him and reimagining a new governor
Yeah.
who has the people's interests in mind?
Cuomo suggested a fundamental rethink of the classroom was on the table. The old model where everybody goes and sits in a classroom and the teacher's in front of the classroom, the teacher teaches the class, and you do all that across the city, all across the state, all these buildings, all these physical classrooms. Why do that when we have all the technology that we have? So, this will be in the links.
What did I tell you? I said after this, no one's going to want to go to work, no one's going to want to go to school, everyone's going to just stay home and collect money.
Yeah, well, and for those of you, again, this is going to be in the links. Tell Governor Cuomo, keep Bill Gates' hands off our public schools, because if it happens in New York, it's going to happen in your state.
That's right. And if
So,
it happens in California,
we have
it's
a
going to
phone
happen everywhere
number
else.
to call the governor, 1-518-474-8390, which says an action that out-of-state residents can do. So you call the governor, you tell him you're against,
First curse him and then tell him.
and you're against Bill and Melinda Gates reimagining your New York schools.
And tell them you want to see both of them naked to prove what gender they are.
And then it said that apparently the last time Bill and Melinda Gates tried to help New York, it said there was a financial crisis called Race to the Top, I guess. That was what they had called whatever their educational platform was. The Common Core testing and evaluating teachers by test scores. So now Gates and Cuomo want to change the schools because Cuomo thinks students sitting in a classroom with their classmates is no longer a good idea. And they said that it's a thinly veiled excuse to drive down education funding while allowing tech profiteers to cash in. Send your email and stop this debacle today.
Listen, the student intelligence rate in New York City is so low to begin with. This will just put them in the negative moron
Well, this
category.
isn't just a city. This is a whole state they want to do. And that's, like I said, if they do it here, they're going to do it everywhere else. So pay attention and help out New York, because this is really
I
ridiculous.
think maybe New York should be
Start over again?
put a gate around it and let it be a museum.
It gets worse. It gets worse, people. Elon Musk says human language will be obsolete in 10 years.
Already obsolete.
After struggling to pronounce his own baby's name on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he couldn't say a little kid's name.
He's chosen a bizarre
Gave him a number.
cyborg-like name for his newborn child.
He should be ashamed.
But the billionaire entrepreneur says spoken language itself may soon become obsolete with the rise of his new brain tech.
Aha.
So Rogan wanted to know how you say the name and is it a placeholder? What would that mean? Is it a placeholder? And so he says, well, my partner's the one that came up with the name. She's great at names. So, and they've changed all over the place how you pronounce it. Because the letter X, he says, is just X, and the AE is pronounced Ash, whereas later on, she goes on to say it's AI, which means artificial intelligence
Yeah,
or love, which I guess
really.
they think means the same thing.
I in Chinese means love, yes.
A-12 is my contribution, which stands for Archangel 12, and which is the pre-plane name before SR-71 Blackbird. And then she had gone on to say that that aircraft was great in battle but non-violent. Isn't that like an oxymoron?
That kid's gonna hate them when he grows up.
Well, this is if they don't know any
He's gonna
different.
absolutely hate them, just like he hates his own father. Elon Musk doesn't speak to his own father.
And 12, she says, is for the Chinese zodiac sign of the rat.
Oh, what a wonderful name for a child. Hi, rat. Hi, little rat.
And they are going to allow their baby to choose their own gender.
Oh my God.
And also,
These people need to be locked up.
apparently he was married once before. So his first child, unfortunately,
He should have had a vasectomy.
well, unfortunately, his first child did die at just 10 weeks old. So according to the story. So then they had the first, I don't know if it was a partner or a wife, they had 5 sons through IVF. So first there were twins, and then there were triplets, and now we have this one. So he's collecting placeholders, I guess. So
Or all artificially.
yeah, and then he goes on to say, back to the Joe Rogan interview about the brain thing, he says that what they're going to do with the brain, called Neuralink technology, will fix almost anything that's wrong with the brain. And he said that you'll be able to communicate very quickly, which means that the spoken language will soon
It's
be
called
a thing
mental
of the
telepathy.
past. Well, according to him, he wants to do it artificially. This was interesting. He says human beings are already partly a cyborg or an AI symbiote. Why would he say that?
Because they're artificial race.
And he says whose hardware is merely in need of an upgrade. So maybe he's been reading Blue Blood. I don't know.
Maybe he knows my work.
I thought that was interesting. But he said that some people might be using mouth noises as a primitive vestige of the past.
Yeah, I think everything he says is a mouth noise.
Yeah. And then what's interesting is, of course, once this story went out, it says that their baby's name will not be accepted in California because the state only allows letters from the English alphabet. Because I thought, well, once they do that, everybody else will start naming their kids numbers and stuff.
Well, that's not really true.
What?
I know people in California that don't have English letter names.
Well, I'm going to tell you the rest of it in a minute. But I will tell you that when this first came out, what I thought is now people will think this is cool, so now people won't have names, people will have designations.
I don't know if people would do that. I mean,
People do.
maybe stupid people,
Do you think he's
which
stupid?
is most people,
Well,
I guess.
he's done it, now everybody else will follow. That's what they do. He's a billionaire, so
Just because he has money doesn't mean he's
but I'm
smart.
telling you that other people will do it. Billionaires,
He's trying
everybody.
to create a new culture a la Bill Gates, so no.
Except with his name on it. Anyway, so the guideline in California is
It
not
sounds
a formal.
musky to me.
The guideline is not a formal law, but it is followed by officials and health workers. So it's not illegal, it just won't be accepted according to one family attorney that was asked to comment on it. This family attorney said that if the couple filled out the birth certificate at a local hospital with the odd numbers, dashes, and symbols, it will be submitted and then it will be rejected
Good.
and then they'll be asked to submit it again.
Good.
But they said they can appeal it. And of course they have the money, they could keep it in the courts
So they
forever
can't
if they
change the
want.
law.
Well, there is no law.
Yes, they
No.
can't use those.
No, it's what I just said. It's not a formal law, it's just what's followed. It's a guidebook.
Well, then they can't reject it.
That's why I said they can keep it in the courts, they have the money to fight it. So it says the birth certificate rule is not formally a law. It's not likely that officials will allow the name on the birth certificate. So then your child will not have an official name, won't have a birth certificate, can't get a social security number, and on and on and on.
So the kid's name would be fill in the blank.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens, but obviously they have an agenda like everything else in mind. And
Oh,
we
he's just
have to
trying
watch for it.
he's just trying to make a statement.
That's what they all
Make
do.
a splash.
That's what they all do. Now this one, I told you, I've been talking about this masks thing because to me, it's so
I have
bizarre.
something to say about that.
Okay, so if it's appropriate when I'm done.
No, I'll have my statement at the end.
Okay, so I've told you about how the science behind why masks make you sick. I've told you that. Last week I told you about it as the mark of the beast and how it re-imprints you. You do it through, there's 3 phases to wearing the mask. I told you about that. Now this news article from another person, which is just perfect. I thought this could actually be written by me, but it's not. I'm just telling you somebody else's opinion. The first part of it is your mask is making you meaner because you're wearing a mask and so you're mad at those people who don't wear a mask. So, and then this was also funny because she says,
Mask envy.
yeah, a good chunk of you are excited to see your mask as fashion accessories that make you look cooler, hotter, or maybe just more woke, which I don't like that word, of course. So either you love it or hate it, but when you see somebody who isn't wearing one, you take it personally because you think that person doesn't care about your health and safety, and you see that person who isn't wearing a mask as a bad person, one who isn't willing to chip in as you are for the collective greater good.
I see people with a mask as idiots.
And that hostility you feel for those not wearing masks is both unhealthy and unfounded, so your mask is making you meaner. And then it's also...
I think if you're mean, you're going to be mean with or without a mask.
No, people get... Well, true, but it brings it out. I said meaner. Now, if you're dumber, because it also makes you dumber because you're a joiner without doing the research.
So isn't that interesting that you wear a mask and it unmasks your personality?
Well, it makes you null and void. And then it says your mask is making you more afraid because now you're in a fear when you're out in the world, and it reinforces that you have to wear this mask, so you want things to get back to normal, but you can't, and now you have to live in fear because your new
I am
fear
never
is your
going to
new
wear a
normal.
mask, people. Not ever.
So your mask is actually making you less safe because it's making you more afraid because there's no other danger than always was danger out there, so to speak, and no more danger than normal. So I thought that was pretty good. And then she also talks about how that because you're walking around with a mask, we don't have a chance to get herd
Yes, herd
immunity. So doing everything you can to make sure we don't develop herd immunity.
Just say mass immunity.
Herd immunity. So your mask is making you less safe. And what was really good was at the end of this particular article, there's a video that's a parody that's called "People Will Die," and it's so funny. You should watch it.
That's funny. People will die.
It's a parody of it. It's a minute and a half about this kind of ridiculousness stuff. And speaking of things you can't make up, this just started. I guess the way I understand it, just started in New York as of the 1st of January. In New York again, they're now mandating stargazing permits for looking at the sky. Yeah, and I thought this has got to be a hoax.
How are they going to know what I'm doing?
I'm going to tell you, because I checked this out several different ways, and yes, this is true. So yes, if you live in state, you can get a stargazing permit for $35. If you live out of state, it's $60.
Wait a second, just to go open your window and look at the sky?
Yes, you got to listen.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's what I said. I said this has got to be a hoax, but it's not. So there are exceptions where you are not allowed to stargaze, and they listed here.
Yeah, like when it's cloudy or
No,
rainy
it's
or
certain
snowing.
for example, Montauk Point, you can't stargaze in the upper parking lot.
Why?
Doesn't say, it just says you can't. And at Jones Beach, you can't at West End 2 and Field 6. At Hither Hills, you cannot stargaze in July and August. And so
Why?
on. It doesn't say, I'm just telling you.
That doesn't make sense.
I know, but it's true. That's the thing.
You know what? Maybe they should be locked up.
Anyway, so you can only buy your stargazing permit between January 1st and March 31st and the Tuesday after Labor Day and December 31st. And guess what? If you want to go into the water, there's also a regional diving permit for $80. $80 for in-state, $125 for out-of-state.
How are they going to enforce this?
If you want to run your metal detector, it's $40 a person. Now, some people say it's a good idea because it allows people to enter the closed park after hours.
But can't you stargaze in your own backyard?
The point is if you can get in the park with a permit, it's not closed.
So this is just about going into the parking lot.
Yes. Well, it's not, going into the park. Some parking lots you can't even go into, even with your stargazing permit. So you have to listen because...
Why do you have to go there to watch this? You can watch it anywhere.
Well, not necessarily, not New York. So it's open to anybody who's willing to be extorted or who can afford it. Those who are unable to pay the government or choose not to do so for the exact same activity will be arrested or further extorted.
Arrested for stargazing.
Yes. So if you want to go
Criminal.
after dark to look at the stars on state land that you paid for through your tax dollars, you have to pay the government more money for a permit.
So you can be a rapist and a murderer and walk free, but if you want to stargaze or go to work, you better watch out. You'll be arrested.
Yes, and then it says, it goes on to say that if the government wants to take the most sacred land in the state and put a telescope on it to look at the stars, that's okay. If you try to protest the government's construction of stargazing equipment on your sacred land, you can and will be kidnapped and caged. And the example is Mauna Kea's summit is the most sacred of all the mountains in Hawaii to many of the indigenous people. And in July, those people showed up to protest the desecration of their land with a 30-meter telescope, and dozens were kidnapped and caged or arrested. So I just think this is hilarious. And again, if it's happening in New York, it's going to happen somewhere else.
New York is a piece of work.
Okay, and then here we go with some more interesting stuff. Trump's U.S. Space Force. And in their video, apparently now they have 16,000 jobs that they want to recruit people for. And in it says, maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It says maybe you weren't put here just to ask the questions, maybe you were put here to be the answer. And officials have received an unprecedented amount of interest since announcing the hiring spree.
Yeah, who wants to stay on this planet?
There are already 88 commissioned space professionals working in the force. They want these 16,000 more now.
Maybe we should apply.
Maybe, I think that might be good because you know what? They organized, trained, and equipped the space forces in order to protect the U.S. and allied interest in space and to provide space capabilities to the joint force.
Do you need a permit to stargaze if you're in space?
What I like is the graduates get a platinum sash. They get a platinum sash.
Oh, it's worth it just for that.
And the regular Air Force people get gold ones, but they get platinum.
Ooh.
And now I'm going to go back to Earth before I take you back to space. So the next one is the new TikTok challenge. Did you know what that one is?
I don't even know what this TikTok thing is.
I don't exactly know what it is, but
I don't even know what that means.
I have to tell you, it gives you a bit of comic relief in the midst of all this other crap that's going on. It's guess what? And guess what? You don't have to do it because nobody can tell because they can't see below your waist right now.
Ooh,
But
lucky
it's called Pee Your Pants Challenge.
Oh, I saw that
Did you
I
see
saw a
it?
video of that.
Urinating
That has
in
to
your
be like
pants.
one of the more moronic things, like when they used to light themselves on fire in
Yeah.
the shower.
Yes.
That was another wonderful thing they did.
Yeah.
Or the ice challenge.
Yeah. Well, at least they didn't put this
Ice
on
bucket.
fire. That was bad enough. But
Mhm.
anyway, this one apparently the Pee Your Pants Challenge hashtag has 4 million views on TikTok.
You know what? Everyone in a nursing home would win that one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And now this was actually the next story is actually an older story, 2015, but it's circulating again. So because it's older, I brought it forward. It's called the title is a bizarre UNICEF video urges kids to accept reptilian aliens.
That's okay.
This is a video which was released in Chile
Chile.
by UNICEF. And of course, that's United Nations Children Fund. Now, what you might not know about UNICEF is that it has an agreement with one of the Vatican-owned organizations.
Uh-oh.
This organization is called, it's probably Latin,
Scholas Occurrentes Initiative.
okay, founded by Pope Francis himself.
Oh, wow. So
Pope-
it has to be good.
Yeah, the goal of this organization is to radically change the way children around the world are educated. So in this
Just
video,
like Governor Cuomo wants.
yeah, so I thought that was an interesting tie, and this is being circulated. And in Chile, which of course down there, we got a lot of reptilian nests going on.
I know. I love Chile though.
I like Chile too. So, and I like Chile.
I like Chile con carne.
So it says that in this video, you can see how an alien child, which is a reptilian child, but kind of humanized, is integrated into school with human children. So again, on the link, you can watch it. But I thought it was very good. So the question of this article, is this video proof that the Vatican and UNICEF are trying to prepare the collective mind so that the human race can more easily accept possible contact with an alien race?
Oh, I've been doing that for years.
Okay, my last story is my best story of
You
everything.
say that every week.
That's why I save it for the end, so that they maybe will watch. I don't know if they do or not. But this one, actually, this was published May 4th, 2020. So this is a news story. Now, of course, we got the coronavirus,
It's a no Rona.
we got that going on. So guess what? Now, as we're kind of maybe recovering, guess what we have? Murder hornets.
Oh, I talked about that already.
You did? What'd you say?
I said there's no such thing.
Well, guess what? Now I have the scientific proof.
Uh-huh.
It's ridiculous to call the Asian giant hornet, recently found in British Columbia and Washington State, the murder hornet,
It couldn't possibly live there, but go on.
says noted UC of Davis wasp expert and researcher Lynn Kemsey, director of Bohart Museum of Entomology and professor of entomology, UC Davis Department of Entomology and Nematology. So she's got a lot of
Sounds
credentials.
like a lot of ologies there.
It's no more likely to sting and kill a human than a honeybee,
Right.
said Kemsey, a two-term past president of the International Society of Hymenopterus.
You better wash your mouth with soap.
This is an organization that studies bees, wasps, ants, and sawflies. I don't know what sawfly is. I gotta look that one up.
There's flies that go around saws.
I think so. Actually, it's less likely as honeybee venom packs quite a punch and is exclusively designed to defend against vertebrates. The colony that everyone is hyperventilating over was actually found on Vancouver Island, British Columbia last September 2019 when it was destroyed, and then a single dead hornet was found in December 2019 in Blaine, Washington. There is no evidence that there are any more hornets in the vicinity of Vancouver or anywhere else on the west coast.
They can't live in those environments anyway.
She says there may be more, according to the Washington State Department of Agriculture. Beekeepers have reported observations, which may or may not be the same species, dating back to October of 2019. 20 Asian giant hornet specimens are housed in the Bohart Museum of Entomology, which is home of a global collection of nearly 8 million species. Entomologists are bemoaning the name murder hornet and the sensationalism and fear-mongering ensuing.
There you go.
It's a bloody dumpster fire. Some poorly worded media reports about Asian giant hornets have triggered a veritable avalanche of nonsense online.
Yes.
But I can help set the record straight, wrote senior museum scientist and hymenopterist
That
Douglas,
sounds obscene.
I know, Yanega of the UC Riverside Entomology Research Museum. Our colony was found and exterminated on Nanaimo in Nanaimo on Vancouver Island in September 2019 with a few sightings associated. Right now, all the authorities are doing is asking people to keep their eyes peeled just in case there were queens that escaped the destruction of the Nanaimo nest and established their own nest nearby. I was one of the authorities brought in to consult on this case, and to my knowledge, there have not been any sightings in 2020 that would suggest the eradication attempt was unsuccessful. Put bluntly, as far as we know, there are no Asian giant hornets alive in either the US or Canada as of 2020. And if there are, then they would be in the immediate vicinity of Vancouver Island, about a 50-mile radius or so. Kimsey says the insects often come in on cargo boxes from Asia to US ports, establish colonies, and expand their range. And they're used to dealing with them because it happens there.
Listen to me. How many times have I been in Asia? I can't count. In all those times, I have never seen a hornet like that, ever.
And this is called a vespa. That's the type of a vespa. It's a social wasp that are primarily predators of other insects, not people. Like they're showing you, and not mice. There was the mouse thing.
They're killing this, they're killing that. Praying mantis killed them.
Yeah, a primary predator of other insects. Some species are known to attack and feed on honeybees, which makes them a serious threat to apiculture. Then Susan Kobe, a bee breeder geneticist, commented, I see they have already taken on the media name murder hornets.
Who gave them? Bill Gates must have given them that name.
Probably, because so he can get another vaccine.
Oh, but they're not going to listen to the no Rona. Let's get a murder hornet.
So Facebook users are posting images of so-called Asian giant hornets that are actually such species as cicada killers, European hornets, southern yellowjacket queens, sawflies, hoverflies, a beetle, and even a moth.
So that one day you'd be sitting here, who's there? Murder hornet. Let me in. Parasitoid
wasp specialist and educator Sloan Tomlinson said even if this species is established, their infamy is overhyped and sensationalized. In Japan, they do kill around 30 people a year, but here in the U.S.,
if they fall on their nest, maybe.
Around 40 people are killed annually by domestic dogs.
Yeah.
So they said no.
How about coyotes and wolves and everything else around here?
So a doctoral candidate and researcher of Iowa State University said no, the Asian giant hornet is not going to destroy America. The one nest, an individual that was found around Vancouver last year was destroyed. This does not indicate any establishment. Introduction events happen all the time, all across the world.
So you know what's going to happen next?
What?
They're going to find out that the murder hornet has a coronavirus.
Probably. And then it can transmit it.
And then it's going to bite you and you'll all die.
That region should continue to keep a watchful eye, but for everyone else, this is not going to be relevant. There's no invasion, just a small possibility that some may have overwintered in the area. So if you find something and you're not sure, you can email your image to this specialist. And there are also Facebook pages where entomologists will identify your insects on Facebook.
They come from tropical, humid areas. They can't possibly survive any winter in this country.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, this is so much fear-mongering by the media, and that's why we're telling you, don't fear and take care of your health. So remember,
I have a statement.
Okay, do you want that first before I tell them about the book?
Well, I think my statement should be last because it's very powerful.
Okay, so hold up the book then. So here we have our
It's
books.
so heavy.
I know.
Oh.
So be sure you take care of your health. These will help you with your mind, heights of
If
health,
you have a mind.
and the alternative medical apocrypha. We've told you, about we've got these things that will help you with methylene blue plus, the blue blocks.
And I like to just
No, it's just a drop or two.
I love it.
And of course, heights of spirituality goes. And guess what we have here? King bee, queen bee.
Oh, murder hornet bee.
Murder hornet bees. And that, of course, goes with my Heights of Spirituality book. So we've got the 4 set there. And, of course, our newest ones. So you're not going to be mind controlled by all of this stuff. Okay, 13 cubed. These are shipping.
I like that cover. I didn't originally, but now I like it.
Yeah, Heights of Deprogramming. So you want to take care of your own mind.
Do you have the original, the before this?
Oh, yeah.
Show
So,
it together.
well, actually, we're letting you know about having them in a series of 4. So 13 cubed came first along with the True Reality of Sexuality, which then we followed up with 13 cubed square.
Put them together so they could see the sequel. See how pretty.
Yeah, but we're selling them as a 4-part set. So we have this, that, and Heights of Deprogramming. here. So if you haven't read the first two, you'll get more out of the last two if you've got the first two. So as I've told you, we've been doing our work for decades, so we have a lot of information to give you. And of course, we have all our healing books. We have so many of our healing books. Do it yourself. Build your own mind pattern, get your own immunity going, and that's where it's at. So not in the vaccines. Last week I showed them the self-integration. Yeah. So lots of stuff you can do we have here. So you can take care of yourself. So,
are you done?
Almost. Well, go ahead. Well, I wanted to tell you, be sure to get a membership, expansions.com, where you can interact with us. Please don't send us videos because we get the same ones over and over, and it takes us a long time to go through it. We just delete.
And they send me videos like I saw 4 months ago. Like I thought, what a surprise!
So delete. No questions. Not if it's just 30 seconds. That's why we have Q&A on our website, expansions.com.
Don't ask me to interpret your dreams on the Q&A or the comments forms. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, serious statement, people. You're done.
From serious A or B?
Both, and serious C, because there's actually 3 stars. Anyway, people, the states that are locked down are in violation of the Patriot Act and are committing domestic terrorism. That means their Democratic governor is guilty of domestic terrorism and crimes against the U.S. Constitution. You should get that part of it. It's in the video that I put out on my blog. Get that, print that, keep it with you. And you have a right to work and go everywhere, even under emergency conditions. So no one can stop you from going to work. No one can stop you from going to the beach or to the park or walking in the street at all, with or without a mask. You have a right to bear arms, worship in church or temple, and to visit one another at any time. That is your constitutional right, and it cannot be taken away even in an emergency. And the governors who are doing that are guilty of domestic terrorism and crimes against the Constitution, which is treason and guilty, and you can be convicted of that and executed. Take your power back properly. Not rioting, not shooting people, not threatening, just doing what you're supposed to be doing without regard to illegal gubernatorial acts. Masks are unnecessary. In fact, they make you sicker because they concentrate germs in your face, in your nose, in your mouth. Plus, your ears are exposed, your eyes are exposed, your hair is exposed. It's going there too, people, whatever's in the air. So masks are ridiculous. Plus, gloves spread germs. Because if I have gloves and I'm touching something and then I'm touching something else, guess what I just did? With or without gloves, you're spreading the germs anyway. Ridiculous, people. And hiding or isolation prevents immunity. And if you go out in the public and the schools are open and you all breathe on each other, guess what? You get immune to everything. America was created out of revolution, and I think it's time for a second coming.
Well, it's happening because people are, as I talked about this man in Michigan, the civil disobedience.
And you know what? It's not even disobedience. It's obedient to God and your country. Go to work.
Yeah, it's surpassing.
Go to the beach. Visit each other. F the governors that tell you not to.
I agree. So get your membership, expansions.com. And remember, stay safe and work on your mind pattern. That's the most important thing you can do. Above everything else, you already own your mind. That is free. Take care of it.
Happy Mother's Day to those of you who are mothers. And happy Victory Day to the Russian people. Bye for now.
Bye.